And like I said, yeah, you may have to deal with the Chris character, but overall, it's not a bad show to watch. So definitely check it out. You check it out at number 6. Now, we're getting into the top 5. The top 5. And I can tell you this. Without a shadow of doubt, and I know I sound like I'm repeating myself there, this deserves to be in the top 5 because it really changed how you saw anthropomorphic television shows. It really helped do that. It was a show that you wouldn't have expected out of all people, Hanna-Barbera at that time. It was dark, it was dramatic, it was action-packed, it was just plain out awesome. And I'm ashamed it never had more seasons than the 2 that it had. And of course I'm talking about SWAT Kats, the Radical Squadron. And SWAT Kats, I'll tell you this, when I first saw SWAT Kats, oh my gosh, I was just blown away. Even my dad was impressed with the animation. I mean, they basically made some of the cat characters, mostly the female ones, look more human than they did feline. Especially in the second season when you look at Felina Farrell, for goodness sakes. But it's definitely a show that you could sit down and you can enjoy no matter what. You could definitely enjoy it. You know, it really surprises you with some of the scenarios it deals with. Some of the even innuendos they might indicate as well. And how adult at times it could get, even if it sneaks it in here and there. So, SWAT Kats is definitely a show that if I was anybody and wants to check out the history of Hanna-Barbera, I would definitely watch this show. Because this really showed that Hanna-Barbera can change things up and definitely go in a direction you wouldn't expect. I mean, I'm telling you this right now. Honestly, in my opinion, I think if it wasn't for this show, you wouldn't have had the Real Adventures of Johnny Quest that came out a year or 2 later, which was also good. The SWAT Kats, and number 5, definitely worth watching. Definitely worth watching. At number 4, this might surprise some people, but at number 4 we have probably the most popular Disney afternoon show of all time. Probably the most popular. At number 4. Well, that was until 1994 came around with a certain show that'll probably be talked about soon. But at number 4 we have Chip 'n Dale Rescue Rangers. And what else can you say about this show that nobody else has not yet said? This is a show that really put the Disney afternoon on the map, put Disney on the map as far as syndicated shows could go, along with DuckTales, and really explored that phenomenon, that genre of teamwork. But what was different about this team, unlike, let's say, another show that I'll talk about, was you had 4 males and 1 female involved. That was it. And the female in the show, Gadget, which is this character, was always being fawned upon by Chip and Dale. Why? Because both wanted her to be her girl. Both wanted her to be their girlfriend. Both wanted her to come out and say, "I choose you as my boyfriend." It was that good. It was that kind of stuff that really got you hooked. Because you would even wonder, is she going to choose? Are they going to do an episode where she chooses? And there are several times throughout the show where she shows that she has interest in both of them, but she doesn't really go any further than that. But what was interesting, though, about the show as well is they introduced other characters to kind of take that attention away. Tammy was the first to do that because she started fawning over Chip, and that took away the attention of Chip from Gadget. Later on, you had Sparky that took the attention of Gadget away from Chip and Dale, and who Gadget, in a sense, was falling for. And then, of course, you had one of the more popular characters. She even made a return in the comics, thanks to Boom Studios. You had Foxglove, who took the attention of Gadget, who took the attention of Dale off of Gadget. You had all these different characters. You had the pirate characters that appeared twice. You had Kenina LaFleur, who appeared twice, voiced by Carol Channing. You even had a guest appearance in one of the earlier episodes by Humphrey the freaking Bear. You had a reference to Donald Duck in the show. You had a 5-part pilot, which was one of the best miniseries, if not movie pilots, I've ever seen. You had Alan Oppenheimer doing the voice of the main villain for that pilot. It's that good. This show is that good. And one of my personal favorites, hell, what was it? Let me see. Is it in here? Yeah. This year, this is a top 10 DVD that I created of the top 10 episodes that I liked. Top 10. And the number one out of that is Double O Chipmunk. And I have talked about this various times as to why. It's full of firsts. It's the first time we see an intellectual side of Dale, who's wanting to use that intellectual side to help improve his team and help the Rescue Rangers improve. But we also see the first time ever Gadget out of her regular clothes. Well, we've seen her in different outfits, like for camping and the beach and all that. But this is the first time we've seen Gadget in a red dress, red high heels, makeup. She obviously tanned herself or makeup her body, or basically darkened her body with makeup or whatever. Lipstick, the whole ordeal. The whole freaking package on her. Gadget went into femme fatale mode here. And it's the first time that Gadget's kissed any of the chipmunks on the freaking lip. And it was Dale. And you can also see an indication in this episode that Chip's kind of jealous about that. But still, it's stuff like that that made Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers a very good show and worth watching every day. I remember when it came out in 1989, I would have my VCR set and I would record Mario Brothers. I would record, this would be my lineup. Alvin and Chipmunks, Mario, Rescue Rangers, Turtles. That was my lineup. That was my lineup. And to tell you honestly, it was the best lineup I ever had. I could ever ask for as a kid. And that is why Rescue Rangers is worthy of being number 4. Worthy of it. And it's definitely worth watching every single moment of. At number 3, and this is a tie at number 3. The other one I don't have with me, but I'm going to mention. The first one I'm going to mention in this tie at number 3 is a show that I just mentioned briefly, kind of hinted at, that in 1994 became the second most popular, if not the most popular, surpassing Rescue Rangers Disney animated show ever. And I'm talking about Gargoyles. And this is a show that was so hyped up by Disney, so built up, that they even showed the 5-part pilot Awakening in movie format, in its movie format in theaters for one night only. Yeah, I remember KSMO 62 did a contest giving away tickets to a one-night showing at one of the theaters in Kansas City for Gargoyles Awakening. I remember that. They even released Gargoyles, the movie Awakening, on VHS, along with a game board with an interactive game that you could play at the end of the movie. That's how hyped up and how much they were pushing this show. And the hype and the push that they were giving it paid off, because this was one of the more innovative, probably one of the most intriguing, suspenseful Disney shows they've ever done. It was that good. It kept you hooked. Every episode kept you hooked. Every day. You wanted to know what was going to happen next. It kept you hooked. And I remember watching every episode. I remember recording every episode of that show after I got home from school. Well, at least recording the first 5 episodes. That's how good the show was. That's how good it was. And I'll tell you something. I wasn't surprised that it got a spin-off on ABC in 1996, The Goliath Chronicles, which I too felt was good and lived up to it, despite how some people may feel about it. I'm not surprised that the comic book that Marvel had did well for a while, and I'm not surprised that one comic book company, SLG, revitalized the Gargoyles in comic book form. I'm not surprised by that. I'm not surprised that it was given the option of doing various spin-offs in television mode, in television format. I wasn't surprised by that at all. I wasn't surprised by any of it. Because it has that kind of a following. You have a freaking convention based on it. It takes place every year. I can tell you this. If Disney ever does decide to do a live-action movie on it, they're going to have people lining up outside those theaters for miles just to see it. Guarantee you that. Guarantee it. But that's why Gargoyles is at number 3, tied with this one show, because just like Gargoyles, not only was this show innovative, influential, and one of the most popular shows of the 1990s, but it's a phenomenon that will never die out. X-Men. And I'll tell you this was a show that my cousin dedicated VHS after VHS after VHS to recording. It is a show that me and my sisters would wake up and make sure we watched. It was that good. And the way they adapted some of the story arcs from the comics was tremendous. It's just tremendous. I remember watching the Phoenix Saga, not knowing much about it until I looked it up. I remember watching the Phoenix Saga, and I thought they were going to follow the comic book and kill Jean Grey off. But they didn't. They brought her back, because that's what was done in the comic. But the stories were but the adaptions, the original stories, stuff like that was so well done. This was a show that even when it was brought back on Toon Disney, even when it was brought back on Disney XD, even when Fox brought it back temporarily for a while, people would sit down and they would watch and they would enjoy. They would not hide it. They would admit it. It was a good show that even today's kids could sit down and watch. Because if it wasn't for a show like this, you wouldn't have had X-Men Evolution, you wouldn't have had Wolverine and the X-Men, you wouldn't have had the X-Men anime. It's that good. It's really, I know I'm sounding like a broken record saying that, but it comes to fact and truth. This is a show you gotta sit down and you gotta watch, and it too is on Hulu Plus if you can't afford to get the damn set. But that's why this and Gargoyles are at number 3, because they're that damn good. And those shows worth watching. Okay, just checking my time there. Alright, number 2. What could be at number 2? What could I put at number 2? Let me see. What could I tie up at number 2? Because it too gets a tie. What could I tie up at number 2? Well, here's one. What could I tie at number 2? Let us see. Put that down to the ball. How about tied at number 2? Tied at number 2, we have Yu-Gi-Oh! And we're mostly talking about the original Yu-Gi-Oh! This Yu-Gi-Oh! I had nothing against GX. 5Ds probably was up to par with the original Yu-Gi-Oh! But this is the original run. The original run on 4Kids. Even when you watch some of the uncut versions, is superior. It's one of the best animes I'd ever seen based on anything. I loved the action, I loved the stories, it was really good. The last season was probably one of the best they had done. I mean, you had a culmination of everything that was going on through all the other seasons before, and now you finally had it all coming to a head, and they did a tremendous job. And I'll give 4Kids credit. Yes, they edited and butchered the heck out of this, just like they did the other animes they brought over, like Sonic X and like Pokemon. But at least, like with the 3rd season of Sonic X, they took a chance and allowed the show to be as dark, and allowed the seasons like Waking the Dragons, and even the last season, to be as dark as it can be. And I do respect them for that. I really do. And I'll tell you this. This show is what got me into the card game. A card game that I still collect to this day. A card game that if I could get it out, that I still collect. In fact, this is my deck right here. And like I said, it's a card game that even I enjoy collecting and at times playing. You could check out a match that I did with my nephew who's in the Navy now, back in 2008. It's on my YouTube channel. But like I said, it's probably one of the better ones I've seen. And if you wanted, and if you were always wondering if they had something for older kids, teens, tweens, adolescents, compared to Pokemon, this was the answer to that. This was. The original Yu-Gi-Oh! Was that answer. I don't think anybody can deny that. Nobody can. And that's why it's number 2 on the list. But it's tied up at number 2, and this is to let you know these 3 are going to be ties. It's tied up at number 2 along with this, G.I. Joe. And I can tell you this honestly, G.I. Joe was one of the shows that I would sit back and I would enjoy watching after another show that's going to be listed up next. It was one of the shows that I sat back and I enjoyed watching, and I just could not get enough of. And I remember, honestly, looking through the TV guide one day and seeing highlighted in gray G.I. Joe the movie on KTVU. And I'm thinking, G.I. Joe the movie? I couldn't believe it. And this was